200. It is June 30th. It's his birthday.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
So we're pretty excited about that, but we're going to take a little time out to talk to you about the last two assignments that you have. And of course, we're ending class on Friday. And I just want to say thank you guys for having a great summer semester with us. I know it's hard to smush it into 6 weeks. And I also want to thank your relatives and friends and family that participated in the final interview paper because we really cherish that assignment and love reading about your people that you've interviewed and hearing your thoughts. And it's amazing to me to see you guys put everything together at the end of the semester. And anyway, good job, guys.
Thank you. Don't forget about this little guy right here too. This is coming up. Okay.
The midterm is open
It's
all this
open.
week. It's going to close Friday night at 11:59 p.m. So get that done. And we do have 2 discussions and 2 quizzes that are also due on Friday. I will send out reminders because I know none of us know what day it is.
Yeah. Isn't she the best? She made me carrot cake, my favorite. All right, let's
get started. Let's do it. Okay, let's talk. Okay, scroll down.
Down. And again, how proud are we of you guys? Look at the extent of material that you are now experts in.
We covered a lot of ground. Okay, so we're going to talk about part 1 in this video, which is, how do you plan for the future as you age? And since I'm an attorney, this is very near and dear to my heart. What steps can you take to be ready? What steps can your family members take to be ready for aging and the things that happen as we age? Now, having said this in the context of aging, I'm going to talk about advanced healthcare directives. If you are over 18, you should have an advanced healthcare directive. We are in the process of updating the one that we have, that John has and that I have, because one of the people that we designated as a decision maker for us passed away. But I've also drafted advanced healthcare directives for both of my kids. One's 19, one's 24. If they have a health issue, and especially now with COVID-19, we should all be ready. So let's talk, if you can open up the document. This gives you kind of a high-level overview. It's from the National Institute on Aging about what is advanced care planning, what are advanced care directives, what do you need to know. So if you are unable to make decisions for yourself, you can do one of a couple different things. You can have a living will, which is a document that tells your doctor what you want to have happen if you are terminally ill, unconscious. Do you want to be put on a respirator or a ventilator? These days with COVID-19, the answer is probably yes, but it might vary depending on your circumstances. Do you want nutrition and hydration, or do you want them to withhold that? What if you're, do you want antibiotics if you get pneumonia? So these are all things that you can think about, and your answers are going to change over your life. So if you're 20, your answer might be, hey, doctor, I want you to do everything possible to get me back to normal. If you're
64, like me, yes. Forget it.
We might pull the plug on John a little sooner. So anyway, I shouldn't laugh. It's a serious subject. But so scroll down a little bit. So keep scrolling. So there are a lot of issues that can come up. Do you want CPR if your heart stops? Now, if you're a young, healthy 20-year-old and your heart stops, we're going to do CPR on you because the odds of you recovering and being fine are pretty high. But if you look at the data, if you are a terminally ill cancer patient, if you're an elderly person, if your heart stops, the odds of you actually recovering and becoming normal again are, less than 1%. So for a lot of people in that situation, they might say to a doctor, no, I don't want CPR if my heart stops. Just let me go. Don't take heroic measures. And it is kind of a difficult process. CPR does, break ribs. If it's done correctly, it can cause a lot of issues. So the other issue that you can talk about in a living will or with your loved ones in terms of what kind of care you want is how long do I want to be kept alive? Do I want to be on a ventilator for 7, 8, 9 years? Do I want to have my food through a tube? Do I want to have liquids through an IV? How long do I want people to engage in medical intervention before I'm, allowed to die? And again, that answer is going to change over your life depending on your circumstances. Do I want comfort care? Most of us do want some sort of palliative or comfort care that's going to deal with pain or difficulty breathing or things like that,
Shoot me up.
which is usually what hospice is so amazing at, is providing comfort care for people that are at the near the end of life. So
I want to be soothed. Seizures.
definitely,
I want to
yes.
be soothed.
We're going to start comfort care later on
Tonight.
today, actually. So scroll down, keep going, keep going. So I want to talk about the difference between hospice care and palliative care and why both things are really amazingly important. Studies have actually shown that people who have terminal conditions who enter hospice care live longer and have a better quality of life than people who don't opt for hospice care. Unfortunately, and I think it's a difficult situation where the patient doesn't want to have to grapple with being terminal. The doctor doesn't want to have to admit that they're giving up. So quite often people enter hospice care in the last week of their lives. So they don't get the advantage of the help that hospice care can offer. Now, the one downside to hospice care is that you typically um, say, okay, I'm terminal. I don't want treatment for my underlying illness anymore. I'm just going to get comfort measures. Although if you get pneumonia, you can get treatment for that, et cetera. Now, palliative care you can have anytime. So if I am a person with metastatic breast cancer and my life expectancy might be 10 years or longer, but I'm having difficulty with symptoms, pain, various issues, I can opt for palliative care. And that care is designed to just keep me functioning and feeling good and dealing with problems that I have anytime. So don't think if your doctor offers you palliative care, that doesn't mean the doctor thinks that you are terminal. So be aware of that. So
I'm having palliative care carrot cake
which is
today.
going to help him a lot.
That's right.
So scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. So one thing you can do is a living will. That's instructions directly to your doctor that says, if this happens to me, I want you to do one of the following things. One of the options is if I am, in a coma, I want you to try intervention for a short period of time, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then let me go. So you've got options, and living wills are usually drafted so that you can say, I want A, B, or C to have happen. The other thing that you can do, which I think is a great, great idea, is designate someone to be your agent. Just like if you go to buy or sell a house, you have a real estate agent. You're going to designate someone to be your agent under a durable power of attorney for healthcare. And that person will be your healthcare proxy. And you can designate it one of two ways. You can say, you can make decisions for me anytime starting now, which obviously isn't going to happen if you're competent. The doctor will listen to you and not your surrogate or agent. Or you can say, if I become incapacitated, then you can step in and start making decisions for me. You can set it up either way. And then that person, you can give them directions, like a living will type of directions. You can give them directions about what you want to have happen. And certainly you'd want to have a conversation with them. But it gives them the ability to deal with your doctors, to see your medical records, and to make decisions that need to be made if you are not able to make decisions for yourself. And one of the things that I wanted to just mention is, of course, we want to respect an older person's independence and autonomy. So John's mother lived to be 95 and she passed away a few years ago. She was completely competent and completely able to make her own decisions until she lost consciousness a few days before she passed away. So although we had a durable power of attorney for healthcare for her, we did not make her medical decisions. She made them herself because she was very vibrant and mentally together and able to do those things. Now, what happens once you create this document? What do you do with it? You need to give it to the person who is your agent. You need to give it to your doctor, and you should make copies and make sure that they're all over the place. Because the biggest problem we have is someone has a durable power of healthcare or an advanced directive of some sort, and it's in a file cabinet in their house, and no one knows where it is and no one can access it. So you've got to give it to your doctor. If you're admitted to the hospital, bring it with you. Make sure the hospital has a copy. And of course, make sure your agent has a copy. How often should you update it? Probably every 5 years because things change. If you get married, if you move to a different state, you might need a different document that complies with those state laws. If you get divorced, if you change, your life partner, maybe you have someone that you really trust. Maybe when you're younger, you might have your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother do it, but maybe you get a little bit older and you have a life partner that you trust and you want that person to make decisions for you. So you should.
What happens if you marry a psycho and they divorce you? You gotta take them off.
Yes, it is important when you get divorced to make sure that if someone doesn't have your best interest in mind, that they aren't the person that has the right to make medical decisions for you. Now, if we scroll down all the way to the bottom, go even more. Okay, we're giving you links. It's very easy to get an advanced directive for healthcare together. There are a lot of places online, the American Bar Association, Caring Connections, it's caringinfo.org. Any state has typically in their state statutes a standard form. Your doctors have it. So you can just Google, what is advanced healthcare directive form for my state? Make sure it's legitimate in your state and valid in your state, and you can put that together.
And this is a common term, right?
Yes, POST. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is in addition to all these other documents that you could have, if you are terminal, if you're sick with something that at some point is going to take your life, or if you have other serious health issues, you might want to have either a do not resuscitate order, which is a DNR, or many states are now offering greater flexibility with something that's called a POST, which is a physician order for life-sustaining treatment, or in New York, it's called a MOLST. So that is a DNR basically says, I want CPR and heroic measures, or I don't want CPR and heroic measures. It's just an on-off switch. A pulse gives you a little bit more flexibility. You can say, I do want CPR, I don't want CPR, but I want antibiotics and fluids and nutrition hydration. Or you can say, I don't want that, but I want some pain meds and things to keep me comfortable. Or you can say, I don't want anything. So it gives you a few more choices. And so pulse are becoming more popular. Now, if you do have a DNR and you have someone who's terminal or elderly, it is a good idea to get a bracelet or a necklace that actually has your DNR on it. So that if the paramedics are called to your house, your heart has stopped, and you don't want to be resuscitated, they need to have some reliable source of information. Hopefully you have the DNR next to your chair, and it's going to be in bright pink or bright orange so that they can see it. But having that bracelet or necklace that has the DNR tag on it would also be helpful. So I think that's everything we need to cover from that. And I put in here just because I keep wanting us to remember, just like when you are 16 or 18 and you're starting to make your own decisions, it's so irritating when older people say to you, you're not smart enough, or you don't have enough life experience to make these decisions for yourself. Guess what? When you get to be 65 or 75 or 85 and younger people tell you you're too old to make your own decisions, it's very annoying. So we need to respect the independence and autonomy of our elders. And we need to remember that, especially in the US, the right that they have to make their own decisions about their own health care and their own behavior and where they live and what they eat and who they talk to, we have to respect that. So
With that, should I go to the bathroom right now? Can you help me? Sorry, okay, never mind. All right.
So before you take away someone's independence, you need to make a decision that they aren't competent to make those decisions for themselves. So, and this is a big hint because it's a question on the midterm too. If a doctor is going to, make decisions about treatment, who's the doctor going to listen to first? The doctor needs to listen to the patient first, as long as that patient is competent to make decisions. And then, if the patient isn't competent, than whoever is the agent and under the healthcare power of attorney or their family members, et cetera, would be second. So, okay, so part two, and I love this. We are asking you to think about the diversity and backgrounds of elderly people who need long-term care. So think about cultural diversity. Think about if you were the owner of a facility, what would you do to help the different populations in your facility be comfortable and thrive and feel respected and have dignity. And there's so many ways that we can go about this. We want to make sure that if you have people in your facility that don't speak English as their first language, that you've got multilingual staff. We want to make sure that we offer food that they like. We want to make sure that we have, decorations and furnishings and activities that are going to appeal to them. We want to make sure that we have, respect their religious practices and provide an opportunity for that. We want to make sure that we're giving older people who might be feeling isolated and alone and fearful and scared, that we're kind of building a bridge to them, whoever they are, wherever they're from, whatever their background is. This is a huge issue for people of color. It's a huge issue for the LGBTQ community. It's a huge issue for international patients. And so we want to make sure that these people are comfortable in the facility and are supported so that they get good care and they feel, like they can speak up for themselves and ask for what they want, and that they're comfortable and happy and that they thrive.
And as a business model, because you guys are business majors, you got to figure out who your clients are. If you are going to run a corporation, assisted living facility, and you have branches all over Southern California, everyone should be unique, because every one of your clients is going to have different needs, and be sensitive and know their cultures, and then you'll fill up your facility, and in the end you'll have a much more successful company and corporation.
Yeah. And I think it also can be useful if you have different groups in your facility that maybe these groups aren't familiar with the other groups' culture and practices. You can have classes. You can have, hey, this week we're celebrating, Chinese New Year, and next week we're going to celebrate something else. And so you can have holiday celebrations and social activities that bring people together and educate people about their the other patients that are in the facility, so that everyone gets along.
Awesome. All right, so I think that's it for this time, and we're going to go ahead and close it up today. And you're going to get another lecture from her, because she's an attorney, and that's what she does.
That's what I do.